Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. My name is Carsten. I'm from ETMIS, and I want to show you some hints how you can improve the experience with Eclipse. When I work with Eclipse, it sometimes feels, okay, I have a fast car, but it doesn't drive as fast as it could. And so I asked myself, what can I do to improve the speed of Eclipse, of working with Eclipse? So there's the startup speed, the build speed, the overall experience with UI, and I want to give you some tips about that. And I tried to search the internet and gathered all the tips that others gave, and this is a kind of compilation of that. First of all, if you start searching for that, you may come over a plugin which is called the Optimizer for Eclipse, which makes it convenient. So just go to Marketplace, drag this thing on your desktop, then it asks you for your contact information, you fill in all the data, email, telephone, then you start it, Eclipse, and say, okay, I want to tune the settings and improve the performance and set some preference. Yes, of course, I want to do this all. And the last thing is install JRebel. Okay, this is the turnaround behind that they want to sell you JRebel. And after you restart Eclipse, you see, okay, you save 4 seconds of time. Oh, wonderful, it's perfect, everything done. I cannot do more. Next day, you get a call from a salesperson from Zero Turnaround, which tried to sell you JRebel. So that's the easy way, but just too easy. There must be something more. The problem is it's not that easy as you think. If you search for performance issues, it heavily depends on your use case that you have. And you only see on the top of the iceberg, always. If you cut off the first top of the iceberg, the next top comes up. And then you have to hunt it again. And what the problem actually in your situation is, it depends. Maybe it's some of those that I can show you now. I apologize if some things are maybe too obvious for you. They're the easiest things, and there are other things, and some things also bring just a small amount of performance. So the obvious, easiest thing that you can do to scale software is to do better hardware. So everyone who does not have an SSD is a fool today. But actually there are use cases where people still have to work on computers that have a normal hard drive. That's the total killer. The best way to scale Eclipse and any other software that you run is buy an SSD. That should be a no-brainer. It's 200 euros for a good disk. How many minutes you have to work for that? Almost nothing. So if you have a slower computer, convince your boss that's to invest in hardware. Okay, there's other things that you can do, and also not related to Eclipse directly. That's antivirus. The antivirus is interested in everything that changes on your disk. So whenever you compile something, antivirus means, okay, let's check that one. So this could also slow down your overall experience. So disconfigure antivirus for the JRE, for the installation folder of Eclipse, for the P2 repository, the bundle repository, workspace folders, projects, and so on. You know that's safe, and there the antivirus has nothing to search. Similar thing like antivirus is the system indexer, Spotlight, or in Windows, I don't know how this service is called, but whenever my fan goes on and I search the activity monitor, what is actually happening? Then there's a famous process right on the top, that's the MDS worker. That's the metadata service, actually, Spotlight. And you could say disconfigure also the Spotlight to not search your output directories of projects. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. You can configure Spotlight and the Windows indexer just for whole directories, so maybe the whole workspace. But if you have several projects and maybe the output folders can disappear and be recreated, then you have a problem. So there you need some tool support. To make this programmatically, there's a small, not so well-known feature in OS X, which is a special marker file, which is called metadata never index. If you put this file in a directory, Spotlight is not interested anymore in this directory. On Windows, you have to call the attrib command. And this you can script. If you saw the talk about Easy, this could be an option to use. Use the Easy plugin to write a plugin that makes this. So another thing that you can do is, if you have a more modern notebook like mine's, 16 gigabytes of RAM, how many RAM do I actually use? It's almost half of them. So what you can do is build a RAM disk. So a RAM disk is much faster than your SSD. It's about 6 or 7 times faster. And you can store some things on your RAM disk. Not everything. You should only store read-only data like JRE and the bundle pool, maybe the output folders. I don't care if class files go away. Therefore, I'm using this RAM disk and linking the output folders to the RAM disk. This involves a little bit, scripting also, and you need some software that stores and recreates the RAM disk when you shut down your computer. I did actually a measurement with my Xtext workspace and did a clean build. This takes really a huge amount of time. A full clean build takes almost 9 minutes for this workspace. And then I linked all the output folders to a RAM disk and saved 2 minutes. That's quite much. So it's worth investigating this. So the next thing that you can do is do something about the startup. Tweak the Eclipse IDE settings. Of course, you should use the latest JRE. Your Java is always improving in performance. Then you should use the server VM with the server flag. And I personally use the parallel GC. I've got some good experience with that. Of course, enough heap, that's clear, but not so clear is increase the young generation space of the heap. Why? Because during compilation, Eclipse will create many small objects and short-living objects. And they are placed first in the young generation. If the young generation is full, they are copied to the old generation space, and garbage collection takes longer. So give enough young generation space so that those objects can be cleaned from there. That's just faster. Another option that you should consider is to disable class validation with the -x verify none flag. This has something security relevant. If you disable this, of course, the VM does not check the class files for consistency anymore. But if you trust in the installation that you have and switch that off, you can save 10 to 15% of class loading speed. And especially at startup of Eclipse, you load tons of classes. Another option that you can set is aggressive opts. This turns on the latest experimental performance optimizations. You never know what this actually is and how many effects it has, but you can just activate that. For the rest that you can do, there's one principle: less is more. The less you have to do, the more you gain from that. And if you have an Eclipse installation like this one, having all the features inside and maybe even more, what do you expect? It takes some time to load that. So there, you can reduce that. So first of all, you should not share any data on a network share. I have customers who do this. They have a network share service and they share their workspaces there. Of course, this is far slower than using the regular disk. Use current Eclipse distribution. The Eclipse team is always improving the speed, especially for Neon. They have the team from Lars Vogel investigated into performance improvements, so it's worth upgrading. And of course, do not install everything. You could make different subsets. If you use OOMF, you can say, okay, I have a subset for this kind of developer and that kind of developer, and you can combine this. And you can say, okay, if you are that kind of person, you install that feature set, and if we are another person, install another feature set. So at the end, you have a smaller Eclipse. There are also some expensive plugins. Mylin is one candidate, and especially Subversion. Yeah, I have to use Subversion. It's normal right now. I have customers that still have Subversion repositories. What I do there is I do not use the Subversion plugins anymore. I use Git SVN and import the Subversion repository into Git, and the Git plugins are faster. So now we come to the quick wins, preferences. This is what you want to hear. Yeah, just click somewhere and things get faster. Of course, you can deactivate, disable things, and it depends on your personal means what you actually disable. I only show you which things have impact on performance. First of all, there are startup plugins. You don't need to run all these startup plugins. You can disable those from which you mean, okay, they can also start later. Then, of course, the startup speed will improve. Next thing that I usually do is disable spell checking. I don't want to have spell checking on my code. I'm smart enough to read the code and don't want to waste time on that. Also, I don't use code folding. I'm using my keyboard to scroll up and down and press Control O to go to the right methods that I want, and so I don't want to waste time on that feature. Then there are validators. The more features you install, the more validators come in, and it might be worth to consider, I don't want to validate XML files or HTML files or JPA, which I do not use at all, maybe, and so go to the validation section and disable what you actually do not need. For UI snappiness, there's a feature animations. If you open a file and maximize or minimize this, it will take some time, do an animation, which looks nice, but actually I wanted it more snappier, so I'm disabling this one. What I also do is I disable some decorations. They need also some time, but some of them are really useful, especially everything which has to do with version control. But I do not need all of them. Especially this one is interesting. File icons based on content analysis. So you're computing decorators and you have to read the files for that. Yeah, what do you expect? This takes some time. I'm personally using Maven often, and the first thing that I change is that the editor should open up with the XML page and not with the form editor. The form editor actually takes some time to open up, and then I would immediately switch to the XML page. Another thing which is disabled by default is the downloading repository index on startup. This you need for content assist if you add dependencies, and actually I usually copy the dependencies that I need from the web browser when I search for the dependencies. One thing that I actually got aware of today, maybe you heard the talk from Markus Duft, he showed me that. He said, we put the gitignore file as a filtered resource for JDT, which means this is not copied from the source to the target directory. And if you do not do this, the egit plugins will always index the directory when gitignore file changes, and it changes if it is copied from source to target. So it's useful to ignore this kind of file. And maybe also other kind of files which you do not need to copy to the target directory. Copying of files is fast, but yeah, if there are some kind of files like docs, or in my case, I don't copy the extent files, I only use the Java files that come out of that. They are not copied to the target directory. So this is about the quick things, and now it's what you have to invest time in. One thing is you have to split large projects. What is a large project? I'll show you an actual project that I'm currently working on. I'm considering this as quite big, and this one needs really to be fixed someday, but we are working on different things. It's one project. The complete project consists of several other projects also. This one has roughly 10,000, I think, 20,000 classes, 10,000 generated and 10,000 manual classes, and yeah, you can consider that this one here is a little bit yeah, heavy and takes time to build. Especially also the Java compiler is faster if you have smaller projects with dedicated dependencies, so that the scope is reduced that the compiler has to search. In this case, it has to load all classes and build an index over all classes and then compile. And this is really heavy. Next thing what you should do is make projects closable. So you have a set of many projects in your workspace. Markus said they have 800 projects in the workspace, all open. And this is for every developer. Yet now think about a full build. What do you expect? So it's better to make things closable. So what would happen if we have this example? We have two projects. One depends on another. We have a class bar, which extends a class foo, which is defined in another project. And now we close that project. What happens? You get a compile error, of course. Because you have defined a project dependency, the project is closed, and the dependency cannot be resolved. If you have a look, for example, at the EMF project, then this is smarter here. You have, of course, dependencies from one plugin to another, and if the plugin is also open in the workspace, then it directly links against the opened project. But if you close the dependent project, then it immediately links against the same plugin from the target platform. So what you should do is you should use your continuous builds to define a target platform which contains the actual target platform plus the latest build, and consume this as a target platform. And then you're able to close at any time any project. Same is true for Maven-based project. The Maven integration is also smart enough. If you close one project, then it immediately consumes the pre-built jar from your local repository. Okay. Next thing that you can do is to set resource filters. This is a feature not many people are aware of. You can set on any project or any folder a so-called resource filter. And this makes the resources that are filtered not available for the workspace. They are not visible anymore. And therefore, there are no resources. If I have a project with 20,000 class files, yeah, then I have a really, really large, huge workspace. Sometimes I have directories that I completely can ignore. For example, in my project that I am working on there, we have a separate build. The ARM-based build is, and it creates the target files to a separate build location than Eclipse, which means that if I search for class file, I have this twice in my workspace, and I have double the resources. So it's easy to just say, yeah, I'm ignoring certain kind of files or exclude complete directories that should not be visible to the workspace. Compiler warnings are also to consider. If you have a large workspace with thousands of compiler warnings, what sense does this make? If you don't fix them, you also don't care about them. So then you should make filters on compiler warnings. Especially interesting is an option to ignore compiler warnings, optional compile problems for certain source folders. This is interesting, especially for generator output. Right? If the generator is not smart enough to compute the right set of imports and has more imports than you need and whatever, or raw types is also a huge candidate, then you can just say, okay, these kind of warnings should be filtered. What is the effect? Yeah, if you make a full build, yeah, the Java compiler has to remove all these issues from the problems view and from resources, and then it finds out, okay, I have to rebuild all again. So this is repeating, and so as long as you don't care about these warnings, you also don't have to see them. If you do plug-in development, it is a good idea to have an aggregated repository which contains all the features that you actually build against. To have a target platform which is contained in one single repository. The typical target platform is consisting of several repositories from where we pick some features, and even worse if they are public, maybe even the release update sites from Eclipse with slow download servers, and you pull the data every time in every build that you make. That's just stupid. The better thing is if you use a tool which is called the Be-Free Aggregator. This is a really nice tool which allows you to define repositories from where you consume features and build one single repository out of that. And what I do usually with that is to push this repository to some internal available HTTP location and use this single repository. This boosts the builds by factors. And if you start a runtime test environment with you're testing your Eclipse application or your product, you should start only with the required bundles. I often do this by selecting my plugins that I want to test and say, and now compute all required plugins. And then the runtime environment just starts with these plugins and not with the full target platform. This is also quite faster. If you use API tooling, which is an important feature if you work for Eclipse to detect changes in the API and where you have to manage the versions, and so this is important, but it is really a slow feature, and it is better to just disable this during normal development and enable this in a CI build. It's enough if the CI build fails for you if you accidentally published some method and forgot to set the synth flag. Then you get notice from the build, fix that, done. Otherwise, the API tooling is running all the time whenever you save any file. What you also can do is clean up your metadata from time to time. There are some directories in the workspace that you can regularly clean, like the JDT index that grows and grows and grows, and yeah, you can safely throw that away. It will be rebuilt with the next time. The local resource history, nobody needs 200 versions of a local file. You have also version control where you can pull the history. So disable the history or throw away it from time to time. And this speeds your Eclipse also a little bit up. Yeah, or even set up complete fresh workspace with oomph, maybe. Just from time to time, throw away everything, execute your oomph setup, and you're done. Last thing that you can do is actually, if you experience a certain problem, nobody knows, and maybe even nobody else has this problem. You have a specific setup which makes something really slow. And then do profiling. Use Visual VM or even better YorkKit and just attach to your Eclipse and look what it's doing. I had a situation at a customer who's doing C++ development, and they have the situation that they are using heavy generics of generics, and thousands of dependencies on files that are shared on a network share. This was a situation which might be not yours, but for them that was a killer. If they rebuilt the C++ index for a certain project, then they had to wait for 6 minutes. And it turned out that it was possible to cache a very, very small thing, and it boosts the speed up by a factor 2. And this is already a large gain. Available with Neon. Okay, that's already everything that I have in my pocket. So don't forget to evaluate the session, and yeah, I'm available for questions.